Chill or Be Chilled by TotalSkeletonTrash. Chapter 13, in which you finally see a weird lizard. Papyrus is driving you through a part of town you've never seen before, and the town is just not that big. It reminds you almost of those fake towns in amusement parks, the gaudy, gleaming false walls hiding crappy toys and fried food. You don't know why you keep thinking of that. The neighborhood is a little shoddy looking, maybe, like a lot of these apartment buildings were put up in a rush, but something sets your teeth on edge. It takes you a while to realize what it is. All the windows have sliding metal shutters, and most of the paint looks fresh. Some of it is practically still dripping, gleaming a pristine and insincere white. Nobody paints houses in a coastal town in the middle of December for fun, warm weather or not. Not unless they're painting over something. "I'm not the only one to be hit by those guys, am I?" you mutter. Sans sighs and shakes his head. "It's calmed down some," he says. "I think maybe a few too many of them found trouble, but we can't stay awake always. And since this is the only developer that'll rent to us..." "What?" you say sharply. Sans squints at you. Yeah. Because they still haven't decided if housing laws apply to us. Asgore's been in talks for the entire year." He sighs. "At first it seemed like they were really excited to have us up here. Our gold, anyway. Pap's got his car, right, bro?" "It was the first thing I bought here," Papyrus says happily. "I was allowed to try out all of them at the car store, but this one was the most like my bed." You raise an eyebrow, but can't help but smile at his enthusiasm, even if this car seems nothing like a bed. Sans grins at his brother, then sighs. "But then the bank said that they wouldn't take our gold. It's nuts. I worked like 20 jobs underground." "You mean you slept at 20 jobs, lazy bones?" Papyrus cackles. Sans shrugs. "Anyway, had a pretty good nest egg for us. Still do. Can't spend it though. I even tried to sell it at one of those jewelry places. Guy spat at me. So we had to move out of the house we were renting. And since we didn't have much human money, we had to find a place that would take our gold. So this developer guy bought a field and slapped up 1,000 apartments practically overnight, just for us monsters, and promised he'd take our cash. Think he got a payday from the city, too, since people didn't like having monster neighbors." Papyrus stops at one of the indistinguishable white buildings, pulling a neat parallel park off with skill that you certainly lack. It doesn't look terrible, you suppose. The paint on this one is as dry as a bone, you notice, unbuckling and hopping out onto the street. "So it all worked out?" you ask hopefully, as if asking this will make it true. Sans shakes his head slowly. "Well, turns out that you can't build 1,000 apartments overnight and do a good job." He sighs, leading the way up and jiggling the doorknob of the first floor apartment. It opens easily. You figure the lock's busted. Actually, everything's busted. The first thing you notice when you step inside is the odor of mold. You can see it creeping along the ceiling, ominous and black. Sans looks guiltily at Papyrus. "We tried to get someone in to look at it. The landlord said we had to have invited a mold small over and charged us an extra 500 that month. Asshole. Mold smalls don't even... yeah." He digs his hands in his pockets. "Your home smells much nicer," Papyrus says. He's already scooping handfuls of brightly colored action figures from a shoddy table into a plastic bag. You move over to assist him. There's a pool of standing water on the painted concrete floor. It soaks right through your shoe. Sorry, Sans says quickly. "Forgot to mention that one. It keeps coming up through the cracks." You stand there next to the puddle, your eyes sweeping the place. There's a roach crawling along the wall. You don't think this is a spider entrepreneur situation. That looks like a good old-fashioned surface roach. The door to the single bedroom is open wide enough that you can see there's just 2 mattresses on the floor in there, and a pile of books stacked neatly on the ground. In fact, every object in the house is immaculate. They just happen to be located in a slum. Are Alphys and Undyne staying in one of these places too? You ask. Sans shakes his head. No, Alf really lucked out. The university wanted her working there the second she showed up to look at campus, and they have faculty housing. It's pretty nice, he assures you. And the kid lives with Tori, the queen, so they have some diplomatic housing deal. Still wish I'd made good like Grobes and bought a place while I could have, though. He sighs. You hesitate, your heart in your throat, then call. Hey, Paps, can you pack everything you want up? I just want to speak to Sans outside for a second. Papyrus nods, humming contentedly. Sans looks at you askew, but allows himself to be marched out of the front door. Hey, stay with me, you say the second you're outside. He looks confused. Yeah, that's the plan, he says, beginning to smile, but you shake your head. No, I mean, tear up the lease. Get out of here. You and Papyrus can stay as long as you want, no matter what. You guys can have an entire wing of the house to yourselves. Or the pool house, even. Pool house? Forget it, I'll show you later. But pack all your stuff up and stay with me. No more mold, no more broken stuff, no more rent. I know how weird it is, we've just met, but this isn't right. I don't want you guys to have to live in a place like this. I don't have much to offer, all things considered, but I've got this stupid big house, and it is empty, except for me and ghosts and a lot of bad memories. So stay. Leave here, and stay with me. Sans looks pained as you continue, but you have to get it out. How did you survive out here? How did this place not swallow you whole? He finally whispers. You can't just give strangers permission to stay with you, Reeds. People aren't all nice. People hurt people like you. I can do whatever the hell I want, Sans. You say, locking gazes with him and feeling a little like a teenager. And you're not going to hurt me, and neither is Papyrus. I've hurt humans before, Sans says flatly. I know. Badly. I got that sense. Stop trying to scare me off. You say, determined to get this too through his head. I haven't known you long, but I know you better than that already. You might have done some bad stuff. So have I. But you're not going to hurt me. He shuffles his slipper against the cracked concrete stoop, his gaze downcast. When he looks back up at you, his eye is glowing blue, and once again the air around him is crackling. Very slowly, like ghosts stalking a mouse, he steps closer to you. So this is the game then. He's waiting for you to recoil. You glare at him, frustrated that he's testing you like this. I said I wasn't afraid of magic. You say, refusing to break eye contact. Ugh, it is doing that thing again, though. Being this close to him, all the fine hairs on your arms are standing up straight, and there's a twisting, not entirely unpleasant, feeling somewhere in your abdomen. Like being on a roller coaster, that first drop. He reaches out and takes both your shoulders in his hands, holding them tightly, and suddenly that giddy feeling is through your entire body. You almost smile, almost begin to laugh, when he leans forward, eliminating the rest of the distance between you, and you feel lips against yours. Lips? He's a skeleton. How? Add that to the list of things you'll worry about later. When he pulls away, you feel like a furnace, and your resolve to stop blushing has been thoroughly wiped from your mind. Luckily, you're not alone. Even though he's still just radiating magic, There's those familiar spots of color on his cheekbones. He has great cheekbones, you think distractedly, then trying not to start laughing, because you're not sure that you'll be able to stop. You still want us to stay, no matter what? He echoes your earlier promise. Oh God, you need to try very hard not to giggle right now. This is so embarrassing. Why can't you react to things like this like a normal person? Duh. Not a normal answer reads, not one for the history books. But it clearly pleases Sans because his smile finally reaches his eyes again, and he begins to snicker. You can't hold it in any longer, and you let out a peal of slightly hysterical giggles. Finally, he lets you go. Can you hang outside here for a few minutes? He asks you. I just gotta run this all by Paps. Don't say duh again. Please. Don't worry about it. You recover before he can note the slip. He's gotta be cool with it too, of course. I'll be right here. He smiles at you, a big, beaming smile, then slips inside. You slump against the wall, breathing hard. Okay. This was happening. Okay. Of course, you may ask me anything, brother. Papyrus's voice sounds like it's practically next to you. Well, yeah, the developer wasn't going to splurge on soundproofing, clearly. Like her? She is very great. You are eavesdropping, you tell yourself firmly, and you need to stop it right now. You will just have to pay attention to that. There's a weird lizard on the brown patch of grass between the sidewalk and the door. You just do not understand the appeal for Lesser Dog. I am not just saying that to make you happy, Sans. Papyrus is practically bellowing. I like a great many things about her. She is so kind to all of her bird and fish friends. She showed us all around her work, and she knows so many things. She makes very bad jokes, but they make you laugh, so I like them too. She likes monster food. She makes Frisk happy. She has a small gray cat I dearly wish to be friends with. She let me use the most wonderful kitchen in the whole world. She is best friends with Undine, who I trust very much. She is brave and generous, and she thinks of others first. And yes, she makes you happy. So I like her very, very much. So much for getting that blush off your face. You mean it? She really said that? Wowee! A second later, the door bursts open, even as Papyrus is still yelling. Yes, I would like to stay there, and it will be my home. Thank you, human. Thank you, Sans. The weird lizard takes off, but you can't pretend you're paying attention to it anymore, because Papyrus has tackled you into an absolutely enormous hug, lifting you off your feet. You laugh and finally wiggle until he puts you down. Glad you're excited, Paps. Come on, boys, let's pack the rest of this stuff up. Think we can fit it all in the car? Sans leans back in, looking at the few possessions left in the apartment after Papyrus had gathered up his many action figures. I think we'll make it fit somehow. When you get back to your house, you reiterate that the brothers can set up anywhere in the house that they want. Papyrus runs wildly from room to room, swinging doors open, coughing on dust, and exploring. Sans just shrugs. He picks the room right next to yours. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, hit the like button to let me know and subscribe to see what I make next. Links in the description lead to the original fic posted on AO3, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi. If you like my stuff, please consider supporting me. Every little bit helps. Lastly, if you have a request for a recording, whether a one-shot or a series, let me know in the comments. I also do commissions, details of which are on my Patreon. So keep in touch. Bye!